Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. This may well be the dumbest review, the dumbest purchase I've ever done, because this is a Walmart exclusive Cobb Vanth Mandalorian armor action figure. I have the Black Series version, but I am getting rid of all of my Black Series figures because this is the scale I grew up with. This is the scale I want everything in. I want vehicles. I want like this is just my scale. And the Black Series stuff, well, you know, it is what it is. And if you want things in that scale, great. It's not my scale, and there's no point in me having it just taking up space. So I had to get the Vintage Collection Cobb Vanth. And the reason I say this was a stupid purchase is it's currently $25 at Walmart, which is preposterous for this little tiny figure. And every Walmart I've been to has like 10 of them. So you know this is probably going to go on clearance at Walmart around the holidays. And wouldn't surprise me a bit if there are just hundreds of these at Ollie's this time next year. But I wanted to review it. I had to have it. I mean, it's Timothy Olyphant. I'm a huge, huge fan of the actor. I dig this character. I do specifically collect Mandalorian stuff. Not the Mandalorian in general. Like, my Mandalorian collection goes way, way back. Like, predates the show by 2 decades, probably. My interest in Mandalorian-specific stuff. So anyway, yes, I overpaid for this. It's overpriced. I shouldn't have bought it, but I wanted to do the review, and I knew I had to have the figure, so whatever. I went ahead and did it. Back of the card. At one time, Mos Pelgo Marshal Cobb Vanth was custodian of Boba Fett's Mandalorian armor, which he bought off of Jawa traders. And I like the lore involved in Cobb Vanth as well. And he's an outer space marshal, sheriff type guy. Like, this is a perfect meld of mythology, actor, character. It's just great. So I knew I had to have this one. I've been waiting for a Cobb Vanth and Vintage Collection. And so while it was dumb to pay as much as I did for it, I have to feel like it also would have been dumb to pass it by and take a chance on something weird happening where they just disappear. Which I have had happen with other things that I thought, oh, I'll wait this out. And then they're just gone at some point, and you never see them. And especially with Walmart exclusive stuff. Like, I know nobody watches wrestling figure reviews here, but if you collect wrestling figures at all, then you know that Walmart's WWE exclusives are a nightmare. You may see them once, you may never see them at all. There's no rhyme or reason as to which series end up where and who. They're horrible. Walmart is obviously the worst place in the world to have exclusives. So, again, with this being Walmart exclusive, I just felt like I better go ahead and get it. And it looks great. It does, unfortunately, have that slightly rubbery plastic that we've been seeing a lot in the Vintage Collection. But at the same time, while I don't like the feel of it, I cannot claim that it's caused me any problems with any of the figures that have it. So I don't like it, but realistically, it's not an issue. Nice knee bend right there. More than 90 degrees. I actually kind of like that little piece of Boba Fett armor is a separate little piece. Really nice sculpted detail. And the articulation on these guys now just can't be beat. You know, the fact that these are just as articulated as their 1/12 scale counterparts is wild. Or almost as. I guess he doesn't have an ugly torso joint, which doesn't really bother me. So Hasbro would probably say the reason for the cost is the paint apps. And I mean, I'm not going to try and dispute that, but also, come on. I don't know. I don't know. And really, that is the answer. I don't know. I'm not going to try and claim Hasbro could have released this at a lower price point. Oh, look at the painted detail on the fingers. So nice. You get a little more than a 90-degree bend in the elbows and in the knees. You got that paint on the fingerless gloves. Got Fett's wrist gear. So I was going to see if I could pop his head off and see how removable this piece is, but there's no point because those wrist gauntlets don't come off. So there's no point in messing around with that. He's going to look like this, and that's how I want him to look anyway, so it doesn't matter. So look, he's a great figure. Look at the portrait. That's insane. At this scale, that perfect little Timothy Oliphant head, that's crazy with his beautiful, beautiful head of hair. So jealous. The world's most handsome man. Maybe. So yeah, I mean, great. All the wear on the armor looks really good. I love the way that they've done the metallic silver kind of coming through where the turquoise and other armor colors have worn off. Really kind of seeing Django's armor underneath a little bit. I don't know. Has that been established that this is actually Jango Fett's armor that Boba's painted? I don't even know. That was always my assumption. I can't remember now if that's been established in books or anything or not. Now this is, I will say, maybe this is a little weak because this should connect, but also, whatever. So there's that. I mean, look, the figure looks great. I'm thrilled to have it. He's nice and tall. He is right at 4 inches, so he's going to be slightly taller than some of your other vintage collection figures. Looks like they got the scaling nice. I kind of wish... Oh, it is... look at that. I was just getting ready to say I kind of wish it was just a... I prefer the swappable helmet. Oh my gosh. The head does come off, doesn't it? I prefer the swappable helmet over an actual functional helmet because the size is going to be better. Well, I guess before I do that, let's take a look at the helmet. Again, that wear just looks great. And I like that there's more on the front because I feel like there would be. Look, again, Hasbro's claim would be, well, it just has to be that expensive because of all the deco. And while I don't know whether I necessarily believe that or not, I will say that's close enough. Like, the deco looks good enough to where I could almost buy that. Okay, there we go. That was a little scary. So there is, with the helmet on. But chances are I'm just going to have him holding the helmet on the shelf. He has got Boba Fett's jetpack, which I like that they have... Oh, look at that. That goes all the way through. That's cool. I like that they made the missile or rocket a separate part, since he did actually fire this in the show. I kind of wish there was a port on the back here so you could put the blast effect in the rocket. That would have been cooler. So that plugs in there. Friction holds it in place quite securely, actually. Nicely done. And then as most of the Mandalorian what? Okay, well, wait. There's a little ridge right there. So it should plug in and stay in place. It looked like it wasn't going to plug in. There we go. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, as many of the Mandalorian's jetpacks have over the past few years, you've got the blast effects on here. I almost would have preferred a singular blast effect. I don't remember if the exhaust came out of the bottom here or not. Yeah, that's not going to work. It would have been really cool if they'd put a port in the back of that rocket, and then you could have plugged a blast effect into it and had like something like that happening. That would have been pretty neat. Now, granted, I could make that happen with like Dremel a hole in that, but I don't do that kind of thing. While I appreciate, for the sake of the community, anybody who comes into my comments and says, you could always Dremel, that's important information for people in the community to have, but for myself, you are wasting your breath or your typed words, because I'm not going to be Dremeling anything. So that fits in nicely. Again, good friction on that. Holds up well. He has got a different hand blaster from Boba Fett's usual, which I appreciate. Actually, it's very Fallout looking, isn't it? But that's a nice touch to make him a little more space western. And that's going to go, nicely, very nicely, into the holster, the low-slung holster. And then he's got the long blaster, which again, not Fett's, and I like that they didn't just load him up with all of Fett's gear, because realistically he probably wouldn't have all the blasters and stuff. It would just be the armor that the Jawas had recovered. I try not to wreck things here. Back on there, very nice. Put that back on. Obviously, I'm not leaving those blast effects on. He's just going to be standing. But it is nice to have those. And then we'll put the helmet, as so many figures on my shelves have. We're just going to tuck that helmet right under his arm there. I'll get a little better grip on that when I put him up for display. But there he is. Look, is it worth $25? If you have to have this character, then yeah, it's worth $25. Realistically, is it? No, of course not. Of course not. No, vintage collection figures at this point aren't even worth the $17 that they cost. And that's part of the reason why I'm not reviewing these very often, is, I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of shame involved for me in continuing to collect vintage collection, which is fortunate that they don't make very many figures that I consider must-haves anymore, but they're so expensive for what they are. And, you know, there's a whole other conversation about, well, do they have to be? I can't speak to that, really. But when there's one I want, I get it. And there it is, like, I am paying way too much for this little tiny figure, is a feeling that I have every time I buy anything from vintage collection. So that's just a factor of collecting. But for me, this is the size I want for my Star Wars collection. So there he is, the galaxy's most handsome law enforcement officer, Cobb Vanth. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about needless things. And until next time, buy what you like and what you can afford.
Smash that like button if you like needless things.